immersed into a whole new atmosphere where they have been stretched beyond their comfort zone. This happened to me the past summer as I had an amazing opportunity to work at Bethany Birches camp in Vermont, working in the kitchen. I learned so much about myself and in turn grew more into the person I want to be. At this wilderness camp, I worked in the kitchen with my older sister Julia, also known as her camp name Sharkbait, and it was Sparkles, the head cook. I only knew a few other people at camp, so I had a fresh opportunity to be myself without expectations from others. Many people didn't even know my name was Laura, since my camp name quickly became Triple Chin Tom. Before this experience, I thought I was good at understanding and getting along with people who were different than me. So I didn't expect it to be a challenge to regularly work with volunteers in the kitchen each week. However, each week I began to grow more and more bitter as I dreaded working with these new people. Over time, I realized that it wasn't the volunteers that had the issues, but I was mostly at fault. I was easily annoyed by the little flaws or idiosyncrasies in the volunteers, but I was more bothered by how readily I noticed these flaws and judged them for it. I felt disgusted with myself, hating the way I thought myself any better, so I began to pray for a change in heart. I felt called and was encouraged to display the fruits of the Spirit in place of this frustration. Although this is much easier said than done, I worked to change my attitude. I leaned on God to provide the strength and patience I needed to love and work with people who were full of me. Whether it was Zelly eating all the food scraps, Archie making never-ending dad jokes, PBJ just taking forever to do anything, Glenn feeling the need to teach me how to do dishes, Woody was counting everything, Nina ordering others around rather than doing her assigned job, or Kara telling her husband Tom to do everything for her. God loved these people, and I wanted to see them as He does. I reminded myself that every moment is an opportunity for God to work through me, and I played a part in how the other volunteers experienced their time at camp. Despite the challenges, I loved the work. It was full of fun memories, such as accidentally causing a small kitchen fire, cutting onions while wearing welding goggles, spraying other people going by with a kitchen hose, and rocking out to the Hamilton soundtrack when we had the kitchen to ourselves. There were also some short-term volunteers who added excitement. Forrest, who ended up staying for 4 weeks, was quite the character and came up with great food labels that we would discover in the fridge. Another volunteer, known as Wonder Woman, lived up to her name by helping us through the craziest days in the kitchen, while putting us all at ease. When things didn't go right, which was often, she always came up with a plan. A highlight of my summer was high school week when a band from Cairn University came to lead worship. They sang a type of music that I love, and I learned to care less about what others think of me by dancing and singing with my whole heart during worship. When there are only kids and other police counselors, it's so easy to focus only on the one who you're praising. Those firesides were sincerely some of the times that I felt closest to God in my life. Sharing that joy with the kids and seeing them all in arms, no one excluded, and singing in praise in unity brought the greatest sense of community. God's love brings us all together and binds us in a way nothing else can. If it weren't for His love and what He did for us, we would have no reason to connect in this way. The most challenging weeks were the two when the dreaded interns were there. These kids, supposedly ages 14 to 17, acted more like 6-year-olds. Unfortunately, they were put to work in the kitchen for many shifts. My patience and kindness were never tested so much. At the end of the week, I had so much frustration inside that only negative comments came out of my mouth, and I remember hoping that they would hear my terrible complaints about them. It was one of those weeks where I was so frustrated and exhausted, all I could do was cry and talk to God. Through my life, I recognized that when I try to rely on my own strength, I am vulnerable and feel like a failure. But when I fill myself with God's presence and surrender to His strength, I feel rejuvenated and His Spirit fills me with what I lack. Though I make mistakes daily, knowing that Jesus gave His life out of love for me gives me hope and purpose. A worship song that I love called Broken Vessels says, "So take this heart, Lord, I'll be your vessel, the world to see your life in me." This is something that I will continue working on. I want to be empty of my selfish desires and filled with God so that I can fully serve Him. Out of these difficult weeks with the interns, there was a bright experience that encouraged me. I enjoyed getting to know one of the interns named Abby. I knew she was struggling with a lot back at home, and one night as we lay in our cots, she began to share about what she was dealing with. I listened to her, and though I couldn't connect with much she was going through, I offered her what I could. I encouraged actually, I'm having a terrible day. We could be real with each other, and people were there to listen and lift you up through it all. I had many tough times, but at the end of the summer, I didn't want to go back home. I felt like at home I wouldn't have the same depth of relationships as I had at camp, and it would be harder to keep my focus on God. That summer, I learned to lean on the Lord for strength. While I didn't do devotions every day, I experienced God daily in things like fireside worship, admiring the stars in the night sky, seeing the smiles on kids' faces when they received a crate full of food, or even in small hugs or conversations. I realized that we experience true joy when we surrender our lives daily to God, so He becomes greater and we become less. During times in the wilderness, when we experience something new or difficult, we can grow so much. I learned through my own strengths and weaknesses and how I need God to work in my heart. I experienced what it means to depend on God for strength, to support and be supported in genuine community, and to cast my cares aside and worship of the Lord. I hope to bring those learnings with me to school so I can be the hands and feet of Christ to those I see on a daily basis. The theme for the summer was Expect the Unexpected. God over and over again uses unexpected people in unexpected places to do unexpected things. God has a plan for each of you that is better and bigger than you could ever imagine. I want to encourage each one of you to do something new and to find an opportunity to stretch yourself in ways you haven't before. Maybe you could have a conversation with a new person. Try out a new activity. Spend time in daily reflection. Volunteer somewhere or even visit a new place. I promise you will grow from this experience. And when you encounter difficulty, remember God is waiting with open arms to support and strengthen you in His love. By leaning on God and letting Him take the lead, you will find joy in the small things and the